This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
Hey everyone, this is Charles Rossler, the Lowland Ambassador for Eat to Explore, and you're listening to the Coarse Grind Podcast with my dad, Sean Rossler.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode number 170 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With you as always this evening, host, creator Sean Rossler. How the hell is everyone doing this evening? I'm tired. I moved a lot of hardscaping stone, and I'm tired, but I'm energized. I'm energized with a newfound focus. And with that newfound focus, I got to admit, I think I might just be stuck in one circle of influence. And honestly, if I'm honest, if we're truth-telling, why would I not be? Why would I not be stuck in that circle? Because for a long time, I'll admit, I tried to lean one direction, and that direction, their initials are TC, and we'll let that go. All while a whole other direction, and one that my energies more clearly align with, was waiting for me to play ball. If you've been paying attention these last couple episodes, I'm talking about the Ruizing universe, from Food Network to Opie Radio to La Cubana, and most importantly to the people around him. The man himself lived what this show, this Coarse Grind Podcast, this humble show tries to exude, a humble appreciation for all things culinarily well done, if not overdone at times along those lines. The show's dearest new friend, Gloria, has hooked us up with another favorite of the Cuban himself, this time a little more techie, an app seeking to silence the Karens, if you will. That last part might have just been my influence on the intro here, but you get it. Tonight's guest grew up in his family's Italian restaurant and built a career in advertising and marketing over a very impressive past 13 years. Recently, he co-founded a food tech startup based in New York City, 8it, that's the number 8it, that seeks to streamline the review process to put to rest all the veritable bullshit surrounding nonsense opinions from slackjaw tourists. It seeks to purely and simply get you, the informed diner, and yes, I'm calling you all informed diners because you're listening to my show, goddammit, to the best food in the simplest way. Such an ingenious invention caught the attention of one Carl Ruiz, and, you know, if it's good enough for Ruizing, it's damn sure good enough for the Coarse Grind. If you've listened to the show long enough, you know our stance on Yelp and other similar platforms, so the joy we here at the show feel from finding out about this app is unparalleled. I can only imagine the story behind it is going to be just as energizing, so let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Co-founder of the food industry's review app, 8it, and fellow disciple to the Church of Carl, Steve Raggiani. Steve, what is going on, man?
What an intro. Holy crap, dude. Pleasure to be here, man.
I do what I can.
Thank you for having me on, and it's an honor to be part of the Ruizing universe.
That's it, man. You know, it's a universe. I know we were talking before Mike's went live, you know, and I've told this story, and the listeners are probably like, okay, Dad, we get it. You've told this before, but literally a week before Carl's passing, he agreed to do the Coarse Grind, and then obviously the fates aligned against all of us here, leaving us sad and morose and empty, and yet we have each other to lean on. And so to find out about this young gentleman, this young professional, as it were, and his mission to silence the Yelpers, which we know Carl loved the Yelp, you know, it's a pretty cool thing. It's a pretty cool connection to make, sir. So thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Folks new to the program, folks with terrible short-term memories like myself, starters, mains, and afters are the sections we're going to be looking at tonight. Obviously, with somebody not necessarily of the purely culinary ilk, the questions might look a little different, but they'll follow the same pattern. Starters, we're going to talk about where the guest in question came from, what brought them here to us this evening. Mains, we'll talk about what they're doing currently. And finally, afters, a little bit more irreverent, a little bit more off the cuff, but no one has sustained a serious bodily or cranial injury in the past 169 episodes, so I don't see it happening this evening. So without further ado, Steve Raggiani, tell me about where and what, sir, you grew up eating.
Okay. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, actually. So my family owned an Italian restaurant, more like classic classic Italian food, you know. So I grew up going to the restaurant, a lot of family functions happening in the restaurant. I go to work with my dad a lot. So, you know, your classic, mozzarella and carrozza, tiramisu, stuff like that. But I would say the most memorable dish that I ate in my childhood has to be my nonno's signature dish, which is the linguine vongole.
Okay, so first of all, if you've ever seen this guy, he's dashingly handsome, and he's leaning into these Italian pronunciations like we owe him something. They're beautiful. I want you to understand. So for those of us not necessarily well-versed in the universe that is the Italian famiglia, if you will, Nonno, I believe, is grandfather?
Nonno is grandfather, exactly.
And Nana is obviously grandma. So.
Nonno and nonna, yeah, exactly.
And nonna, that's right. And so, okay, break that dish down for me. I actually, at this point, forget the Italian pronunciation of what you just said, but tell us what that is.
So linguine vongole is linguine with clams. And there's actually a cool story behind it. My family used to go to our summer house in Marion, Massachusetts, growing up as kids. My grandfather, my nonno, and my great uncle they split a house down there when we were kids. They got it in the 1970s, and my whole family went there growing up. And one of the activities that we would do is we would go out to the beach and go clamming. So they would give all the kids a rake. And we would be about ankle deep in water and raking for clams, and you kind of learn after doing it for a little while what it feels like, and you start pulling them up and throwing them in the basket. And the adults didn't do it with a rake. They would go a little bit deeper, about waist deep, and they would do it with their feet. So this is like OG Sicilian shit right here.
That's right.
And like when you get out into the deeper water, the sand, it almost soft, so you can move the sand with your feet and feel the clams, and then when you feel one, you dive down and grab it, and they're big boys in Cape Cod. They're more like quahogs.
Yes.
Dude, wild. They're like 4 inches, 5 inches wide.
Yeah.
Monsters.
Yeah.
Not the stuff you get in a restaurant where they're like the little necks.
Not the pretty little, I need 18 to have a mouthful. No, we actually spent time up in Chatham, and we ended up connecting with Stephen Wright from Chatham Shellfish Company, and he gave us a tour of the grounds, and so we started, clamming up there. That was the first time I ever had, and I was, 42, and my kids were like, younger, and coolest thing ever. I thought it was so cool. And like, to your point, the deeper you went, the bigger these slobs were. And wow, some of them were, I don't know that they were 3-4 inches where we were at, but they were certainly big for a clam.
Right. Well, it's all relative, right?
That's right. And I'm told size doesn't matter, but you do you. But for like linguine with clams, you probably want some of those bigger ones to cut up the clams and serve over top, yeah?
Exactly. That's usually people's first question is like, oh, how do you make linguine with clams when they're that big? And, I studied the process when I was younger and wanted to make sure that I understood how to make it, because it was so delicious when my nonno would make it. And, he would steam the big ones and then chop them up exactly like you were just saying, and then add those to a pot with olive oil and garlic, and it's almost like creating a ragu using the clam meat.
Yeah.
And then you keep the little ones for the presentation with the rest of the pasta. But yeah, my nonno made a killer linguine vongole, and I'd say that's probably my most memorable dish growing up, and I always try to find something out there that mimics it, I think.
Yeah,
and a couple good ones out there.
Yeah, but I got to imagine nothing even comes close, honestly.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Never does. Any other dishes that like scream to you of that childhood? Because I have to tell you, there's two lineages of families that I get insanely jealous of. If we're just truth telling, peeling everything back, the Italian family and the Chinese family, both of the restaurant ilk. it drives me crazy because, like, one of my favorite things, there was an Italian restaurant in Northeast Pennsylvania, of all friggin' places. And you just saw the family in the back, like, during shift. It was always after the dinner rush, not too far after, though, and they all start to sit down. They start to, like, break bread together. And, like, if somebody needed something, one of them would get up and run. And, you know, the same thing with, like, one of my favorite Chinese restaurants ever. Like, there was that family aspect. And that drives me nuts, man. Like, to feel that, to even be in its presence. Like, I'm not part of it, but here you are breaking up your family meal to help us break bread. That's some heavy stuff. So I got to imagine beyond the clam vongole, is that it?
Vongole.
All right, I got close enough.
With a V.
With a V, vongole. All right, cool. There had to have been maybe one or two others that, like, you think back to, and there's not even a parallel. There's not even an equal.
Yeah, I mean, my Nonna's tomato sauce was, like, mind-blowing. I still haven't been able to find anything close to it, and I don't know. I never got the recipe. It almost tasted like, because she always used homemade pasta, and the tomatoes almost tasted like they were fresh out of the garden.
Wow.
Like I still don't understand. Like, it was a very light red color,
mm-hmm.
almost orange,
mm-hmm.
and it just, like, I don't know. It tasted so fresh. Yeah. It was almost like it was just pure tomatoes. Yeah. But I haven't been able to find anything that's come close to my Nonna sauce. But between the two of them, like, they really set the bar pretty high for amazing food for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I got to imagine then, growing up with this, like, culinary lineage that would make most of us cry out of jealousy, that you were pretty much not a picky eater. You ate everything put in front of you.
Pretty much everything. I think the only thing I really, really despised growing up as a kid was Brussels sprouts.
Oh, all right.
And I think it was mainly because my mom just boiled them. And, like, now as an adult, I've had amazing Brussels sprouts, but it's all about how you cook them.
We share the same childhood trauma, my friend. There was a Mother's Day episode I did, and I called her out on air. I said, "Mom, I love you. I want you to understand that before I say what I'm about to say." And she had this terry cloth pattern pot that she would just put a pound in, pour water in, and literally do like an exorcism and boil the hell out of it and hope that, and they were just, and to your point, to your point, they're all in vogue now and everybody gets how to do it now. And I think that's good. It's no disrespect meant in any direction. It's just, we know better now. It's like, you know, we don't put leeches on people's heads to cure cancer anymore. So we're not putting Brussels sprouts in pots and boiling them. So, you know, thinking to your culinary heritage and your growing up, if you had to name your greatest culinary influence, and I feel like this is going to put Nono and Nonna against each other, if you had to name one as your greatest, who would it be and why?
Oh, greatest. I mean, it's tough to pick between the two of them because they both brought different things to the table.
Sure.
But going shopping with my Nonna was amazing, and I think she definitely made a big influence on me on the quality of ingredients. Like, she would go to the local, like, Italian gourmet shop where they really, like, they imported the real shit, not that whack aisle in the Star Market. Like, she'd go to the real deal, and, you know, she'd drop, like, a solid, like, $200-$300 on, like, you know, really special ingredients that came straight from the motherland. So, like, she really taught me about the importance of quality ingredients and using in anything that you make.
Yeah, there's no faking it, kids. You heard it here first. There is no faking it at all. So you have this incredible upbringing. And again, you know, I can't say it enough. There's a lot of stories I hear that are similar to mine. And, like, you know, I didn't go through culinary training or anything like that. But, like, you know, you kind of piece together what it is you like about food. You, on the other hand, come out of this incredible, rich Sicilian tapestry with great opinions on the world. And yet, okay, so for 13 years, though, you're doing marketing, you're doing this, that, and the other thing. Food wasn't your career of choice immediately, correct?
No, I mean, like, growing up in the restaurant, I was the, 13-year-old boy that, was a busboy, sat you at your table, give you bread and water. And then I started, learning the business and working in the kitchen and eventually graduated when I was like around 18, started learning to bartend when it was allowed and running the bar from there. And there was a lot of pressure for me to take over the restaurant. I remember like when I was, I'd come back from college breaks and, people are like, oh, you're taking over the business, Steve?
Yep.
And it's like, that's always been something that I didn't want to do because I knew there was bigger things out there for me to do. And I helped as much as I could. And then I really wanted to work in marketing. And at the time it was sports marketing was my big dream job, but that kind of changed. But yeah, like there was a lot of pressure to stay in the business. And it's funny how things work out and how things come full circle and you start applying the things that you learn in life back to the things that you were raised to learn as well. So.
Yeah, it's funny how hard and fast you can try to run away, and yet there's this tether around your ankle and you don't see it until it's too late, and then it like springs you back. And the harder and the faster you run early on, the quicker you kind of fly back to it. So sports marketing, talk to me a little bit about that. First of all, I gotta ask who your teams are. So that's a good place to start.
My teams. I mean, I'm Boston through and through. So you got the Sox, the Bruins, the Pats, and the Celts. But I was obsessed with at the time just everything that Nike was putting out from an advertising standpoint, and that's where I kind of fell in love with marketing. And I was like, I want to make sports commercials and da 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 da. And then come to find out, I realized they don't teach you in college what an agency is, and I learned that the hard way after I graduated. I was like, oh, the agency actually makes the commercials and does the creative stuff. It's not actually the brand, and that's kind of how I fell into the advertising agency world, which started in Boston and then shipped me out to San Francisco to work for Mullen SF, which is an advertising agency out there, and then from there I switched from agency life over to working at Campari America, which is, I'm not sure if you're familiar. Yeah, you know Campari, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was working on the tequila portfolio out there, and then my next gig from that was at Live Nation, working in music, and that brought me to New York, which is where 8it kind of was born.
Wow, man. So, I mean, you've definitely... I love it because... Even if you're not in the food industry, the way you come back to the food industry is always this interesting path that no one else could possibly carve. It's like so individual. Jesus. So from your family restaurant to marketing college to sports to tequila to Live Nation to 8it and more importantly to Carl. Talk to me a little bit about how 8it came to be, what it is, and how magically the magical Cuban came into the picture.
The magical Cuban.
Magical Cuban.
I had no idea who the Cuban was when I got to New York. Let's put that first.
Right.
And I get to New York. I'm so excited to be in this magical playground of amazing, iconic food. And I'm sitting there in my new apartment by myself, single guy, and I'm just excited to just eat. And I'm like, that day, I'm like, all right, I want to have one of these burgers I've been reading about that, like, everyone says New York has amazing burgers. So I go on Google, like every normal person would do in 2016, 2017. And I type in best burger New York City because I don't want a mediocre burger. I want the best one.
You want the best.
And, you get, your Thrillist article, your Eater article, your Infatuation article, a Pete Wells article, maybe some videos of Guy Fieri, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and, cut to me 45 minutes later after I come out of this wormhole of content, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. I think I'm more confused now. I've got a detective wall up in my apartment. I've got strings going across.
You're looking like Charlie Day from Sunny. Exactly.
So that was the situation, and I started texting with my friend Joe, who ended up co-founding the company with me, and we were just kind of griping about the whole situation. And we said, shit, wonder if there's a better way to do this.
Nice.
Like, let's challenge ourselves. We get challenged all the time working in advertising by these big brands, working for Airbnb and Adidas and Google. They give us challenges all the time. Let's challenge ourselves. Let's figure out a way to go from hungry to eating something certified dope in 3 thumb taps.
Love it. Oh, love it.
And that's how it all started. We just started to simplify the process. We downloaded every food app. Everyone seemed to be complicating things and generalizing things by oh, are you craving American food? No one craves American food. First of all,
define American food, and then I'll be impressed.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
So, yeah, that's kind of how it started, and that's why when you open the app, it asks you, what do you want? And it gives you a list to scroll through of things that you could be craving down by the dish. So it's pho, ramen, wings, burgers, and it's down to the dish level. And then when you pick what you want, it gives you results based on trusted people in the food industry, no Karens. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we aggregate all these recommendations from those articles that I went into my wormhole when I first started. Mm-hmm. And simplified them down to 8 words, and simplified them down to the burgers or the whatever the dish is that they were recommending. And from there, it tells you, the first version of the app just told you, where it is and lets you call an Uber or a Lyft to go to the restaurant. And then, because of COVID, we realized you can't go to a restaurant all the time, so we started to add more integrations being able to
Grubhub
order,
and shit like that.
Well, yeah, we try to focus on the direct order first for the restaurant, because we know that they make the most money that way.
Yep.
If they do have accounts with those other third-party delivery apps, we'll put those in there as well. But they'll be kind of secondary. And then even if the restaurant has a Goldbelly kit, we'll link to that. If it's been featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, we'll link to that video so you can watch that. So it's kind of like bringing in all these pieces of food media and food tech that are out in the world into one experience. So you only have to use one thing.
Not only doing that, but it sounds like really streamlining the process, brutally streamlining it.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was the mission from the beginning.
I love that, because that's the hardest thing. And she'll listen to this, and I'll sleep on the couch for a week. But Steve, if I need to move out, because my wife kicks me out, I trust you'll take me in here.
I got you.
All right, fantastic. One of the biggest gripes back and forth with my wife and I when we're like, we want to go out to eat. Well, I don't want to look at the menu before we get there. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how are you going to know what's there? And to your point then, just being able to pinpoint, I feel like a burger. It's maybe not the specific dish, but it's at least a direction. You feel like something before you go out. Totally. 9 times out of 10. I think that's fair, right?
Totally. And there's nothing worse than wasting a full. That's what we call it at 8it.
I love that.
It's you go someplace and you order the fucking, I don't know, calamari, which usually I never order, but but you have a shitty chewy calamari and you're like, well, fuck.
Yeah. Look what I just wasted. Not only did I waste my money, but the experience, the calories, whatever else you want to call about it. And the thing that I like most that I heard, and I caught the quick 6-minute video, which I'm thinking when we post this episode, we'll post that in the comments too, so people can see that wonderful, beautiful encapsulation. You'd swear somebody in marketing did it. It was really well done, and it really gave the high-level overview. And the beautiful thing is that it is from professionals. I cannot express this enough, that the times that I've been near rage mode in a restaurant is when I can hear the utterances from a table in one cardinal direction away from me, from somebody so painfully uninformed. Why is the steak pink? I ordered it medium rare. Holy shit, dude. Oh my God, don't, please. I swear to God. No. I'll put your face on the flat top and show you what well done feels like. It drives me nuts. And I truly represent my lack of knowledge in the field as truly a layperson. I'm a host. 7 years deep. I'm a host. That's what I do. Cook a little bit. That's where I'm at. So believe me, I'm a layperson, but I'm an informed layperson, And I don't review anything on Yelp. I'll give stars, and I'll only give them if they're positive. That's all I do.
Yep. And that's all that matters.
That's
because,
all.
you know, when we did all that research, downloading all the food apps and figuring out if this was a viable thing to spend time on,
yeah.
you know, we obviously all had Yelp. And,
yeah.
you know, you download Yelp. Say you're in the mood for pho.
Yeah.
And you go on Yelp and you search pho, you get a list of a whole bunch of restaurants that serve pho, but the stars are not indicative of the pho.
They're not.
They're indicative of the experience. So if some monster, as Carl would say, walks in and goes to this pho restaurant, and they left the drafty front door open, and this Karen is cold the whole time, and she says, the pho was delicious, but I was cold the whole time. 1 star.
Like no one cares.
That doesn't mean I'm going to be cold the whole time.
No
I want to know if the pho was good.
No one cares. And I want to go on record as saying, like, Karen or Carl's, Karls, you know, like, look, it's gender irrelevant. You know the type of person that does this. You know the type of person that sits there and bitches about the experience and then will just trash the restaurant because of, I don't know, the water wasn't filled up quick enough, but the, mussels fra diavolo were to die for. Like,
totally.
You gotta delineate the two, dude. Relax. You know, I get it, and I've said on this show more times than not that service is the 6th sense of taste. I really do. I believe that wholeheartedly, that it really does influence it. But what I think people don't realize, and you can probably elaborate on this better than I because of your background, the damage that you do with a pissed off Yelp review in a moment of entitlement as a diner is irreparable most times.
It's awful. It's awful. Giving 1 star to a restaurant is like, can ruin them, especially if it's something that's like a totally personal experience that isn't necessarily going to be something that happens to everyone else. And,
that's it.
You know, we like to say, you know, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yep,
so that's
exactly.
why 8it is all, it's recommendations. It's not a review app. It's a recommendation app because they're recommendations from trusted people. I'd rather know where Chef Aaron May from the Food Network is recommending me to eat than fucking Tom from accounting.
Exactly. Exactly. Because Tom from accounting likes to go to Taiwan once a year. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. I'm not gonna keep going down that path. But we know Tom from accounting. We know what he does.
Exactly.
So no, it is absolutely, it's terrible. And unless I shouldn't say that because I don't want to make a sweeping generalization. Unless you've worked there, you don't understand. But if you spent time in a kitchen, you get it. And listen, the last time you checked a Yelp or something similar to check out a restaurant, look at your listening device right now, whether it's your phone, your desktop, YouTube, whatever. Look at it and look me in the eye and tell me that you didn't look for the most critical review first. You know you did it. You know you did it because it's there and you want to, because we all like that negativity porn. We just gravitate towards it. This is why 8it matters. This is from people in the industry who get the food. Hey, maybe a door was left open. Calm down. The food is to die for, and there's people giving blood, sweat, and tears behind the pass to make your dining experience a really good one. Sorry, I'm putting my soapbox away. Clearly, Steve, Jesus, you got me all riled up.
But this is exactly the perfect segue of how Carl got introduced to the situation, because he serendipitously opened his restaurant right next to where my full-time job is at Live Nation. Mm-hmm. And he opened La Cubana on 15th Street. And we caught his eye. You know, we were doing a lot of cool stuff on Instagram, and we know Carl loved the gram.
Loves the gram.
And,
loves the gram.
Loves the gram. And we made a meme one day after trying the tostones there. And I didn't even know Carl, like I said. And I tried the tostones; they were amazing. I made this meme of Victor Cruz and doing his touchdown dance, the salsa joint, and it said that moment when you try the tostones at La Cubana, and we posted it, and he thought it was hilarious. He reposted it, La Cubana reposted it, and then he slid in the DMs and was like, "Yo, I'd love to introduce myself. Come through."
Wow.
So we come through. We roll up. It was like think it was like noon on a Wednesday. It was like my lunch break. And, we go in there, knock on the door. You know, it was like right a few minutes after he told us to come by, and he rolls through the back, like kind of all disheveled, wearing a t-shirt that he said wasn't his. And he introduced himself. We talked in the dark restaurant. You know, La Cubana didn't open until 5 p.m. So right. He's like, come outside. I need to smoke a cigarette. So he starts, smoking a Marlboro. And we're just cracking jokes in the street, getting to know each other a little bit, feeling out the vibe. And, I guess like we passed the Carl test after 5 minutes of talking. And he was like, you guys want to go get a hot dog?
Nice.
We went off and he was talking about how he had never tried the, hot dogs at Dixon's.
Uh-huh.
It's a spot in Chelsea Market right across the street from where La Cubana and Live Beach are.
Okay.
And we go in. I have a favorite sandwich there. It's the spicy Italian, and it's kind of like a Cubano, but made with Italian meats.
Oh, nice!
And I think there's provolone in there, and they press it. It's like so fucking good.
Oh.
And he had never heard of it before because he had only heard that they had hot dogs there. So we brought the food back to La Cubana. We opened up our to-go containers. We're eating it in the dark bar, and just like shoveling food in our faces, sharing stuff.
Yeah.
And he tried the spicy Italian, and he was like, bro, that's fucking amazing. And it was like a little moment of victory for me. I was like, I showed Carl something. That's pretty cool.
Oh, man.
And then from there, he was like, I got to show you guys another place. We were talking about the app, and next thing you know, we're on a fucking West Village meatpacking district walking tour with Carl, ripping Marlboro Reds and cracking jokes. And it was an episode of Bourdain, but with Carl.
That's
it was
it,
fucking
man.
amazing. And, he took us to a couple places that we had never heard of. They weren't in the app because we were aggregating from the food media places.
Sure.
And, the kind of tour ended. We ended up back at La Cubana. I had to go back to work. And, he was like, how can I help? I want to help you guys. This is fucking amazing. I love this.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't you become a critic on the app? And he said, what does that mean? What do you need me to do?
Well, I mean, he's not that opinionated, Steve. I'm sure he wasn't interested.
And I said, those spots that you just showed us, how many more of those do you have? And he's like, at least 70. And I was like, let's get them in the app, and let's tell your fans that if they want to eat like Carl, download 8it. And then they can find all those amazing dishes and hear what you have to say about them in 8 words. And, so it started with that, and he posted it, and his fans just went bonkers.
That's exquisite, dude. That is exquisite. Like, eat like Carl. If you didn't make a t-shirt out of that, I'm begging you to now. Like, maybe it
might have to happen.
Maybe that's the motto. I don't know, man. But, I mean, Jesus, my involvement with him was so far removed from that. My involvement was digital, but you still felt that love. Like, you knew where the guy stood on matters of all sorts.
Totally.
I don't want to bog it down. I don't, we can talk. I'll come up to New York sometime. You show me that Italian sandwich. We'll have a good time of it.
Done.
Fucking, it's just that soul spoke volumes, and to have even the spirit thereof in this app to make it simple and easy to get to not only good, but great, I think is exquisite, man. You're doing God's work, my friend. God's work.
I appreciate that. I think, the cool thing about it is obviously, like, after that happened, him being next door to Live Nation was very dangerous.
Oh, why?
Like,
You didn't?
I would stop by there, and we would do the Jim Beam shots, and he also had, amazing live bands playing at La Cubana. We go there and dance, and sometimes stay there till 4 a.m. But, it was definitely an amazing opportunity and experience to get close to him for the short amount of time that we did.
Yeah, man.
And, we even got a chance we shot a pilot episode of a video with Carl called 8it or Hate It, which is a pretty funny story.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. If you search 8it or Hate It, Carl Ruiz. And basically, it was one day we were shooting the shit, hanging out. Carl wasn't there, and we were on Instagram, and we were talking about food influencers and how out of hand it's kind of gotten.
Yeah.
And there was an image on an Instagram, and it was this like absurd looking chicken sandwich, like a monstrosity is an understatement.
Not the double down, right? I mean, that's.
But, yeah, like I'm just like, do you think this is actually good? And my friend Joe was like, he's like, there's no way that's actually good. It just looks cool on the gram. It's for the gram,
right? And
we sent a picture of it to Carl. We texted him and we're like, Carl, you think this is good? And he just replies, where should I meet you? And that day, I was like, shit, we gotta roll camera. Like, this is it. We're gonna do the idea. It's hate it or hate it. Yep. And I hit up our intern. She's amazingly talented, filmographer, videographer, Emily. And I was like, how soon can you be at this location? And she's like, I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Wow.
I was like, let's go. So it worked out perfectly. Carl rolls up. Emily rolls up. I'm like, you keep the camera rolling. Let's just see what happens. And he, like a fucking pro, like, obviously has all the training from Food Network, but, like, he just looks right at the camera and he goes, we're at a bird place. We're here to try a chicken sandwich. I don't know if I'm going to like it. Probably not. Let's go find out. And I was just like, one take, nailed the intro, and I was just like, holy shit, this guy's a fucking pro.
Those are the people that drive you nuts, man. It's like, really, one take? That's all it took you?
Yeah.
No.
And we tried the sandwich. You gotta watch the video.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tease what he said on the video because it's too funny to try to imitate. And it wasn't good. He fucking shreds it. And then he goes, let me take you to a place that's 8it worthy.
Nice.
And then he took us to Billy's Bakery, which was one of his favorite things in New York City, to get the banana pudding and the icebox cake.
Oh.
And that was that's kind of the formula to the show. It was like, we find something that, like, some food influencer was kind of over promoting and over filtering, and debunk it, and then
go
Carl
find something
shows
worthwhile.
us, and then Carl shows us something legit.
Yeah.
And
totally.
yeah, it was fucking phenomenal. And I still, anytime I miss Carl, I go get a Billy's Bakery banana pudding, and it's just like a little slice of heaven. That's
it, man. Or don the Ruizing hat like I am right now, man. Every day.
There you go.
Every day I'm Ruizing. Goddamn, that's a hell of a legacy to leave you with, Steve. And you and the other co-founder Joe. Did I hear correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you and the other co-founder, here you have this brilliant app. With Carl's blessing, let's be honest, not a lot got his blessing, and yet here you, beautiful human beings, are with it. I gotta wonder, what is the next 5 years look like for 8it? Like, what is the plan?
Yeah, I mean, the plan right now is still to stick to the strategy to win in New York. We're still growing. We have about 20,000 users in New York. We haven't spent a dime on a paid ad because
love it.
I believe that what we're doing is sticky enough and relevant enough to enough people that people are just starting to organically find out about it, and that's the reason that we have the password on there, is we want to make sure that we're ensuring quality in everyone that's even using the app.
For sure.
So yeah, it's really to win in New York. Make it the app that everyone uses to find the best food in the simplest way.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, you can go on there and, like, using Carl as an example, his recommendations are in there. And I think the beauty of Carl was behind the scenes, he was our biggest hype man. He may not have told us exactly who he was talking to and what he was saying, but he was talking about us to all his friends.
Dude. And
it's like, it's just like crazy. Like, we became friends with Aaron May now, yep. Christian Petroni, Eric Greenspan, Rocco DeSpirito. All these guys are getting involved in the app, and they're all connected to Carl in some way. So I like to use the analogy that Carl he's still with us. He's our Mufasa up in the sky, and he's leading us in the right direction, and I think as long as we're building and growing, and the industry is wrapping their arms around this idea, I think in 5 years we'll be 8it Global and in every city that you'd want to travel to, and you know, it helps you find the best food in the simplest way at the end of the day.
How could you not love that? I'm fighting every urge not to intro this episode with Badania. Like, if I do it, please accept my apologies, because I still might. No, I'm not sure yet.
That sounds completely appropriate.
It is appropriate. Mufasa, man. He is Mufasa, man. That's an amazing journey, an amazing future. Obviously, we here at the show, behind you 100%, if not 110%, wish you nothing but the best. Obviously, with the gushy love shit out of the way here, let's do a little afters and wrap up, with cool. Steve from 8it. If we were cooking together, you and I, buddy, and, you know, you can pick wherever we're cooking, whatever we're cooking, what music are you and I listening to? If you're in control of the radio. The radio, huh?
It really, it depends what we're cooking. If we were making linguine vongole together,
yeah,
I would say we would definitely start off with O Sole Mio by Pavarotti.
Beautiful.
Because that was my grandpa's favorite song, my nonno's favorite song. He would literally, anytime it came on in any restaurant, whether it was the family's restaurant or we were out at a different restaurant, would stand up from his seat at the table and full on opera sing the entire restaurant, and he would crush it.
Yeah.
And then the entire restaurant would be standing in applause. Like, it was fucking wild.
Goddamn right.
So yeah, we'd probably start with that, and then maybe like a little Louis Prima or Dean Martin to get set the vibe.
Hell yeah. I got that. Love it. All right. Fictitious question. We're going to strand you on a deserted island. You can only take 3 foods or food type items with you. Inexhaustible supply through the magic of imagination, but only 3 things. What would they be and why?
Are they like ingredients that I would have to cook with on the island? Or sure. Are they like prepared restaurant dishes?
They can be prepared restaurant dishes as well. Anything. If it's like one dish you could eat every day the rest of your life, go nuts.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's heavy, right? It's not an easy question. People are like, wait a minute, I have Michelin stars. I can't figure this out. Okay, cool. It's a tough question, right?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
I'm going to answer it through the lens of restaurant food.
Love it.
Because that's just what I do.
Love it.
I'm going to say the Korean fried chicken from Mano Mano.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever had it in New York, but it's this...
I've had Korean fried chicken, not that in particular, so I know how level up that shit is. Yeah.
Under the radar spot. It's ridiculous. The outside is this, like, insanely crispy shell.
Yeah.
And the inside is just ridiculously juicy chicken meat that is just like, it will blow your mind. I can't wait to take you there.
If crab were chicken and the shell were edible, that's what Korean fried chicken is, kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, so Korean fried chicken from Mono Kitchen. What else?
Second, it would have to be a Gotham Smash Burger.
Love it.
Have you heard of those guys?
I have, and I love the Smash Burger as a concept. Again, never had Gotham Smash Burger. Don't make it up there a lot. I got to imagine it's to die for.
It's insane. It's actually insane, and Mike Puma is doing the damn thing. He's got 300 people in line sometimes when he posts up in the Lower East Side, and that burger, I just had it the other day, and I had to order another one after I ate one, because I was just like, I don't want to forget what this feeling feels like in my mouth.
How do you not love that? Which, honestly, if that soundbite were taken out of context, that's not a good quote to have.
Let's not open the podcast with that.
Let's not. Hey, this is Steve Raggiani, and I don't want the taste to leave my mouth. What? What is this show about? All right, so what's the third, buddy?
And then thirdly, I would say the Italian Job from Lilia in Williamsburg is my favorite dessert, I think, in the city, and it's vanilla gelato with olive oil on it, fennel pollen, and honey, and sea salt. And it is fucking mind-blowing.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, people are so quick to despair. My wife makes an olive oil cake from Michael Chiarella. And people instantly, as soon as you say olive oil and cake, what? Like, for whatever reason, people don't get that connection. Olive oil carries sweet so much better than savory. I believe that to be true. It is the nectar of the freaking gods.
It's so underused in desserts. It's
for
crazy.
Sure. Without a doubt. So, wow. Korean fried chicken, Gotham smash burger, and the Italian job. Your heart.
And then I would die of.
Your heart's gonna die
on the island.
Are you looking to go Carl's route? Because I think you're on your way, man. Jesus.
Yeah, and like I'd probably be on that island and try to put some of my clamming skills to work. And,
there you go.
And see if that works out to get some seafood in there.
Get some cohogs. Get a little linguine vongole. That was the V.
There
See
you
what
go.
I did that.
You did it.
All right. So, Melanie Denea. I'm going to assume you've heard of Melanie Denea. My Last Supper and The Next Course. 2 great culinary books, picture books, coffee table books. She's a food photographer extraordinaire. She's the one that did Bourdain with the beef femur between his legs, naked, smoking a cigarette. So, obviously, her whole premise was, your ticket's getting punched tomorrow. What are you eating today? And so, Steve Raggiani, I ask you, you checking out tomorrow, man. What are you eating and drinking today? Who's there? You know, living or gone since? What music is playing? And go. Paint the scene.
Oh, man. Carl would definitely be there.
For sure.
Carl would definitely be there. I would love to see, I'd love to see my nonno there, too. Yeah. I think those two would be a fucking hoot to hang out with. And we'd probably do a food tour around New York.
Love it.
Eating food together. And we would probably go, so breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert. Is that?
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Go nuts.
So for breakfast, I would definitely say there's a spot called Thai Diner. And they have this Thai breakfast sandwich that they make on a roti.
Oh.
That is the most unique breakfast sandwich I've ever had. I wish it existed when Carl was alive because he would have fucking loved it. That would be the breakfast. Lunch, I gotta go smash burger.
Yeah.
From Gotham.
Yeah.
Dinner, linguine vongole from Emilio's Bellato. Because
nice.
I think that's the closest rendition to my nonno's.
Well, but if Nono's there, man, you can make it together.
Oh, that's true.
There you go.
Oh, you know what we do? We do a cook-off.
Oh, shit.
we do a cook-off at Emilio's and put Chef Anthony against my nonno and have them both make it.
I love it.
Do a taste test in the back room. And then dessert would either be the Italian job, like I mentioned before, or the panna cotta from Frank.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Sounds literally to die for, no pun intended. And finally, Steve, last question, simplest and yet most complex. What is food to you in a single word?
Love.
Love it. Love it.
Everything you eat is someone's love that's going into it. So.
It all comes back to it, man. And I mean, damn. You're number 170, kid, so, I've logged a lot of miles on this, but if I've ever heard love in an episode before between both, your family coming up, the restaurant, and then Carl, damn, I mean, you got it in spades, and I really hope that the podcast can stay plugged in with 8it and help you out along the way, buddy.
I appreciate that, and episode 170 adds up to the number 8, which is pretty crazy.
Look at that!
Oh, shit.
See what we did there? Fantastic. 8it or Hate It with Carl Ruiz. If you're looking to check out that fun little clip, and I can't wait to watch it because I haven't even watched it yet, but looking for 8it, you gotta go out to the App Store. You gotta go out to the Android store. They can find you on the Insta and the TikTok as well, correct, sir?
Yep, at 8it app.
At 8it app. There you go, man. And anything for the listeners?
Anyone that's listening that wants to download, we're releasing a password for all your subscribers and listeners. So just put in the password grind, and you'll get in.
The velvet rope has been lifted, kids. Go. Rush. Bum rush the castle. Go! Yeah, man. And, again, Steve is out there also on the face, on the gram. Reach out. Hell of a guy. And I cannot tell you how lucky I feel to have met you, buddy. Only wish you the best. Steve Raggiani from 8it. Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 170 of the Coarse Grind Podcast with me this evening, co-founder of the 8it app, with Carl Ruiz's blessing, I might add, Steve Raggiani. Our producer, as always this evening, has been the lovely, voluptuous Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out new stuff coming from him soon. Next episode will be number 171. You will not want to miss it. Stay tuned. Are you passing through central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.